Good afternoon, Internet fans. Ryan Perry here with Sarah Giametti. It is DMA Wednesday. I just came up with that, Sarah. Digital Mastermind Academy. We are in week 2 talking about video marketing. And this week, we're really going to talk about the nuts and bolts. So what's the equipment? What are some accessories? The different thing that I think a lot of people are confused about when starting their first video blog.
Right. It's not hard to get started, but there are some things to think about, like what equipment do you need? Where should you shoot your video? So we're going to go through today just the nuts and bolts of what you should have, you kind of have your ducks in a row before you shoot your first video, because ultimately it'll just make your life a lot easier as you embark on this new journey.
Correct. And there's nothing more frustrating than thinking that you're ready to start something and it's like, oh, I need this. And we're going to give you a lot of information. And what you have to realize is that depending on what type of content you want to present to people will depend on the type of equipment that you're going to use. So as an example, right now, even though I've got a number of pieces of equipment that you can't see off camera, right now I'm only using 3 pieces of equipment. I have some lighting up here. I have one back here just so you can see what a softbox looks like. We'll talk more about that later, but I have my camera up here that you can't see because it's pointing at me taking pictures. And then I also have my microphone here, and that's essentially all I'm using. And a lot of my video blogs are done this way, with a webcam, microphone, and just making sure I have some good light. Depending on what you want to do, though, you might want to get a little bit more advanced. And so we're going to try and cover the gamut, if you will, of what you're going to do. Think of it like social media. Just because there's 20 options out there, you don't have to do all 20. Find one that works for you and just start there.
And you don't need to buy everything right off the bat too. Buy the basics, because you might find that works just fine. So like Ryan, I actually have 4 pieces of equipment, because I've got the camera, my webcam, my computer, obviously. I have a slightly different microphone than he has. That's better than the built-in microphone on my laptop. But my 4th one is my backdrop. And so that's part of thinking through what you want to project, that for the times that I'm working at my home office versus my office, I'm technically in a bedroom with closets and other stuff that comes into a bedroom. And so the backdrop just makes it clean, so you want to think through all the little details of your video before you get started, because then once you have it all worked out, it's really easy to do it on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why working with somebody such as myself or Sarah, who has all the equipment, we've tested a lot of different things. We know what works and what doesn't work, depending on what the outcome that the individual is having. It just makes it a lot easier. And I'm just kind of a nerd that way. I love technology, especially videography and film type of stuff. So I enjoy playing with the equipment. And before we actually get into the specifics of equipment, we need to know what it is that we're going to do. And this is really important, because knowing what type of video you want to shoot can determine the type of equipment that you're actually shooting. And let's just start with what I call the down and dirty versus a professional. And for me, a down and dirty is something like this. Yes, I have lighting, but I'm just using a webcam. It's not an expensive piece of equipment. I have a microphone to build up the quality of the sound, but I really don't have a lot of money invested in this setup. It's down and dirty. You can see I've got the office window behind me. I've got a banner up. This is like hometown cooking type of a deal, where if you just want to share some information, I'm not here to sell you anything, I'm here to educate, then this is the type of look that you want, is going to be what I call the down and dirty. And that means the type of equipment you can use is going to be much simpler, less expensive, such as using a webcam. And then I have on the slide itself, it says down and dirty versus professional. Hello. I don't know. Is that an extra? Is that on the extra piece?
It is. If you want to have a little fun with your video, forget to lock the cats out.
We'll just see if the husband shows up later. So then, funny enough, I want to talk about professional videos. Professional videos are videos that would actually show up on your home page or on a primary page. If you're doing landing pages and you're actually trying to sell or convert somebody, the professionalism needs to be a little bit better. Therefore, the quality of equipment needs to be better. And so that is the difference between what I consider a down and dirty versus a professional type of video.
And both types of video have their place, but you don't need to have the super professional hire a videographer for everything that you're going to do. Especially for on the video blog side, the authenticity is really what is going to help promote you to your audience and turn them into buyers. So the down and dirty is actually kind of a better approach to go for a YouTube video blog.
Yeah, definitely. That's with the understanding that you're just presenting content. You're not selling anything. Other types of videos that you can create are bio videos, educational videos, how-to videos. If you're in a high dollar or a sales cycle where there's a high sales cycle, having video testimonials of credible people can be very powerful. Some people like to create viral videos. It's not necessarily right for every industry, but it is a type of video. If you're selling products, doing product reviews, animation videos for people that don't want to be on video, animation videos are great. Explainer videos, typically these can be like how to install or set up or create something. So instead of reading instructions, you can have explainer. And then Sarah, why don't you talk a little bit about Snapchat and Instagram and why these are kind of their own separate category, if you will, of a video.
Well, the Snapchat ones are built in directly into the app. So you're definitely only using your smartphone for that. And Instagram, you can upload it, but they prefer that you use the built-in app, and there are time limits on both of them. So that's where, and usually Snapchat and Instagram are real life right now. I just want to show you instantly what I'm doing this second. Whereas a lot of these other ones are a little bit more planned out. And you've got maybe you don't have a full-blown script, but you've thought through your topic, what you're going to do. Whereas the Snapchat and Instagram are meant to be on the fly, off the cuff. You know, I'm out and about doing this thing, and I wanted to show all of you what I'm doing. And so that has a way more raw, authentic vibe than something that you would be doing with a webcam and a microphone and lights and planning out your thought process. So those are in their own kind of world, but they're still very important to a video strategy.
Yep. And one of the key things with that is that time constraint. So you really need to make sure you know what it is that you want to present because of that time constraint. And the other one that falls in there is going to be live video between Facebook and YouTube. Live content. Facebook's really been pushing live video pretty extensively. The other type of video that we talked a little bit is also landing page and welcome pages. So actual web on your website itself. Typically, I like those to be more on the professional side because we want to actually convert somebody to actually take action, where a video blog that down and dirty is really designed to educate people, build credibility, so that when they go check out the specific page about the service or product you're selling, they see the professional video, they go, all right, these are the people I want to do business with.
And in the down and dirty is your opportunity to have you and your personality come through, where you can have a little bit of fun. If you've been watching Ryan and I, we have a little bit of fun in these because we want you to feel comfortable with us as educators to help you grow your business and improve your online marketing. Although I typically do remember to lock my cats out, But whereas the welcome videos, definitely, if you see ones that we've done, we're standing, we're using a much more professional camera. It's a different environment than the things that we're doing for YouTube and for a video blog. And so this is the down and dirty is really where you can have some of your personality and quirks come through, because people do business with people. That's the reality. And you want them to know, like, and trust you. And this is your opportunity to have some of that come through without having to engage with them at first.
Yeah, and I think that really ties into is one, understanding your audience, and two, understanding what the purpose or goal of the video is. And when you know what your audience is and you understand what the goal and purpose of the video is, that really makes it clear how you're going to communicate, and then the type of video that you're actually going to shoot.
Yes.
Good answer. Good answer. All right. That's Sarah's cue to go to the next slide. So on the next slide is going to be before you start. So many people are just like, oh, I'm going to shoot a video and I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. That's part of the reasons why we create these slides, is so we know what we're going to talk about during the show. So one, really knowing your audience and understand what they're searching for. And part of this, I was just talking to a client today who's in real estate. And of course, everything that they wanted to talk about was real estate related, which, yes, is perfect. The problem is when you understand your audience, realize that for the most part throughout their lives, they really don't care about you or your company. It's not until they actually need the product or service that you provide that they care. So part of understanding your audience is not just, oh, okay, this is the type of client I want to attract for my business, but also understanding what that client does when they're not looking for your product or service. If they're into golf, if you are a local based business, talking about local community events, other things that they're going to be interested in, is really going to help create a community and create engagement from your audience. And that's ultimately what you want.
Right. And then you want to have the variety too, because if you're only talking about yourself and what you offer, that gets boring really fast. I mean, even myself, Ryan and I do marketing for a living. I can't talk about marketing all the time. I can't read about marketing all the time. I get bored. I need variety in my life. And so think about what are the other things that you can talk about that your clients or customers need. You can talk about complementary businesses. And so, I promote graphic designers all the time because they complement my business. So think about outside the box, the other things that you can teach your audience that they may need to know in between buying, for the realtor, in between buying a house. What are they doing? They might be looking for handymen or design ideas or learning how to get used to their community and finding their way around. So you want to definitely think outside the box of the other aspects of your customers' lives that you can incorporate into your strategy.
Yes, definitely. And that's going to pay dividends down the long term. When you're not thinking outside the box and you're actually inside the box, some of the things that you can do, though, is ask current clients what they didn't know or understand about your business. And that's not your business specifically, but as a plumber, as an electrician, as a realtor, what don't they know about your industry? Because that means there's curiosity around it and it's easy to create a business. And directly around that is, why not take these answers and turn it into an FAQ?
Right.
I actually have a client. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I have a client who's an estate attorney, and that's one of the things we did is we took an FAQ page and I just had her make a video for each one of those FAQs. So not only do we have new content to share on YouTube and throw out through social media, but now on our website, when you go to the FAQ, not only do you have the short 1 or 2 sentence, but there's also a quick video that goes with it. And it's just a way of humanizing the website, getting her in front of possible clients and letting them know, who she is.
It's also a great place if you're unsure and not quite comfortable with video. It's a great place for you to start with where your content should start, because you already answer these questions all the time to prospective clients and customers. You know your business. And so it's an easy way to not get hung up on, oh no, what should I create? I have no idea what I should talk about. Your frequently asked questions are created for a reason because people are frequently asking you the same question over and over again. So just make a quick video about it. It doesn't have to be super long. It has, a couple minutes maybe. If you answer the question in a minute, great. It's still answered question, and it gives you this versatile video to go along, and you can direct people to it to answer the questions, and they can, you start to build that trust with them on answering just a question that you answer all the time.
It's a lot of answers in there.
I know, right?
Yeah, and to make it easy, there's actually a free download. If you download this slide, there'll be a link to it here on how to actually generate 52 pieces of content in less than an hour. And it really is that easy. As long as you have somebody walk you through it, it's something Sarah and I do all the time. We have to come up with new content ideas for clients. We know how to do it. We have a process, a system in place. There's a link below in the description where you can download all this. Another option is keyword research. If you go back to January's videos, we talked about SEO, search engine optimization. We talked about keyword research. If you click this button here, it'll actually play a video that just talks about keyword research. And keyword research is really about understanding what it is that your clients are searching for already on Google. So if we can talk to the client directly, who, what, when, where, why, what are all the different questions you have about my business? Because if you already have them as a client, there's a certain level of trust. They're willing to give you answers more freely. You can also go online. You can look at your FAQ. There is a gazillion different ways of finding content. And then, of course, if you download the content creator worksheet, we'll actually walk you through how to create 52 pieces of content in less than an hour.
Yeah, and utilize the keyword research with the FAQ. Then you can go to Google and start to type that in and see what the autofill is and see what questions people are answering or asking in the search results. Because if Google's autofilling it, that means people are asking that question, and see if those are relevant to your business and can be additional videos and content that you can create and add to as part of your strategy.
Yeah, definitely. So that's it as far as creating content, because if you don't have content and you're not sure what you're going to talk about, the quality of your videos are going to suffer, because it's going to look like, oh yeah, I'll shoot a video and today I want to talk about stuff because I think stuff is cool, but I don't know what to talk about because I haven't really thought about it. So spend the time up front, do a little pre-planning. Trust me, it's going to help out quite a bit. And of course, use the marketing calendar that we talked a lot about from last month, so that you know exactly what you're going to talk about each month. And I'll give you a little pro tip. One of the things people that are thinking about starting video they get a little anxious and nervous about is that, oh my goodness, I have to shoot a new video once a week, as an example. I like putting content out at least once a week. That doesn't mean you have to shoot the video. You can actually shoot all 4 videos. Once you get the system down and you've done it a few times, within 30 to 45 minutes, you can knock out 4 videos really easy, even quicker than that if you're really dialed in and you know what you're saying. So
I always recommend that, because that's the only way that I do videos, because the first one I stumble over and I struggle with, but then once I get into the groove, the rest of them become super easy. And I just did it on Wednesday. I did about 5 of them, because once you have everything set up and you're in the flow, just do them for the month. Or if you've got a little extra time, do 2 months at that time, because once you get warmed up, every video after, every next video is just that much faster that you get it recorded and pushed through. So it's the only way that I can get videos done. And so I highly recommend it, because I'm not as comfortable I'm comfortable in this live environment because I'm comfortable with public speaking, but for some reason, recording videos for my marketing is a hang up for me. So I definitely would recommend, if it might be a slight hang up for you, and it's a time saver, to chunk it all together and do the whole month in one shot.
Yeah, definitely. Or you can do a little NLP and we'll get that all dialed in for you. So now that you know what you're going to talk about, let's talk about equipment. And I just want to forewarn you that with this slide, it could be a little overwhelming. There's a lot of information on here. And that's where I said earlier, just because it's available doesn't mean that you have to use it. And basically it's broken down: camera, sound, lighting, tripod, some miscellaneous content. And it really all starts with the camera and what type of camera do you want to use. And we'll just kind of go through. The one I'm not able to show is the webcam because I'm actually using it, but I had everything laid out and then I moved something.
Of course you did.
I have too much equipment. I can't find it. There it is. First and foremost, if you've got a smartphone and it's the last couple years and you're starting out on a budget, or you're just starting out, you don't know if you want to continue video, there's no need to invest in equipment. A smartphone is a simple, easy place to start. I do recommend adding a microphone, which we'll talk about later. After that, I'm gonna kind of go up dollar-wise. After that, it's the point and shoot. Typically, the biggest problem with point and shoots is the video is excellent, the audio is horrible, and they don't have an option for adding a microphone unless you get a more expensive point and shoot. Typically, bigger glass, so you get better quality. Then as you go up, some people are, just use the old school camcorder. This one I bought specifically because it actually has a mic in it, or a mic jack, so I can add a microphone. And it was like $300, super simple. And its primary focus is to shoot video. So that's an option. These are all options. When you want to get a little bit more serious, or you want to be kind of on the gun or on the run, something like this. This is a 3-axis gimbal. And this unit, when it starts up, will actually self-level. And I don't know if it's charged. It is charged. So this unit will actually self-level. And what's cool about it is I can actually turn it using a joystick on the back. And these are really great because it's nice and steady. So if you're going to be moving, on the go, those type of things, this is a great option. This is a DJI, by the way. And then if you're really going to get serious about it, that's when a DSLR comes into play. This requires more technical knowledge, more technical understanding. However, we can change out the lenses, just the overall quality. We can shoot in true 4K. There's a lot of different things once you go to the DSLR that you're able to do that all this other equipment is not able to do. Does that mean I need to spend $1,000 on a camera and then spend another $1,000 on lenses? No. Understand who your audience is and understand what it is that you're trying to convey. And that'll let you know what type of equipment to work with.
Yeah, if you've got the smartphone, just start with a smartphone. And we'll get into tripods and a mount, but as you're just getting started, just use the smartphone so that you actually are doing it and you're doing it consistently. And as you get more into it, if you decide to do different types of videos, then you can start looking at additional equipment. Or if you already have it, then use what you already have. Like I have a DSLR also, not quite to the level of Ryan's, but we bought it, my husband and I bought it for personal use, and it just so happens it works really well for recording my videos. But a lot of my how-to stuff, if it requires a screen, I'm using a webcam. So, think about what you're going to do. Think through it before you go spend a ton of money, and especially before you're going to commit to it. Don't spend the money until you know you're going to commit to doing video on a regular basis. Otherwise, you're just throwing money down the drain.
Yeah, definitely. And when we're talking about doing video after the camera, the next really important piece of equipment is going to be the tripod. Don't try and do the selfie video unless that's your audience, because regardless of how steady you feel like you're holding the camera, the end result to the user is it's going to look like this. It's just not attractive. Simple tripod is an easy way to solve that. One of the problems people have is actually mounting their cell phone to a tripod. It doesn't work very well. And what you need then is a little $10 or $15 adapter. and this just squeezes onto the tripod, and it has an adapter mount here. So you can actually use your smartphone and a tripod, and that is going to boost the quality of your videos over somebody who's not by, I don't know, 1,000%, we'll say.
Yeah. It'll make a huge difference to have it steady.
Yeah, it's from the end user's point of view, it's so much nicer. The next item, after you actually have the hardware down, I know what kind of camera I'm going to use. Sound is the next important thing. And this is really going to vary depending on where you're at. Again, who's your audience and those type of things. If you're outdoors and there's a lot of ambient noise, your speaker on your smartphone is designed, or excuse me, the microphone on your smartphone is designed to pick everything up, and therefore it does. Where if I'm speaking, I just want to pick up what I'm talking about. You have a couple of options. This is actually a microphone that's designed for smartphones, and it just plugs right into, if you're a non-Apple 7 user, it just plugs right into your phone, and it's great. If you happen to be outdoors and you know it's windy, you get one of these little fluffy devices. In this case, it actually comes with it, and it blocks the wind from giving that shh noise that's really obnoxious. This is one option. Another option is going with a wired mic. I didn't pull mine out, but essentially, if you think of this as a lapel mic, they have lapel mics that clip on, and it has a wire. It's like 20 feet, so it'll work in just about any situation. Those are really nice. That's my primary microphone that I use when I'm shooting camera that's not here in front of the computer. I use a wired mic, and that, I believe you can get, it's like $30 for a nice wired mic. That is going to boost the audio quality 500%, and it's just going to make you sound more professional, and it's going to dissipate all that ambient noise.
Yeah, I don't think my wired mic was only, $20-$30. It's not just go on Amazon and look for, type in wired microphone and look for the one with the best reviews.
Yeah. And again, this is where you really don't have to spend a lot of money in order to get good sounding results. Your other option for microphones, if you need it just for convenience, or you do need it, is a wireless mic. I don't have mine, unfortunately, with me right now, but that is a pack that goes on the camera and a separate pack that goes on you, and it sends a signal wirelessly. These, you do need to spend some money. I think $200 to $300 is a good starting place for wireless microphones, but the wired mic for $25-$30 is the way to go. The other thing when you're shooting video that you really want to be careful about is lighting. Cameras are very affected by lighting, especially the smaller, what I call the glass. That is the actual lens itself. The smaller the lens, the more affected it's going to be by lighting, and it's going to want more lighting. And that's where something like this comes into play. These are soft boxes that I got off of Amazon, very inexpensive. They're LED, so they don't get hot, and they are a great way of lighting you. So one of the issues I have in my office is I have this window back here, and so that creates a lot of backlight, which is not good. And so this light here that you see, I actually have two of them off here, kind of in front of me and off to the side, in order to light my face. Otherwise, my face would be really dark.
I have a funny little light tool that is specifically a selfie light. And so it's really tiny. I think this was like $5-$10, but it clips right onto the cell phone, and I don't think it's charged right now. Oh, it is, but it's super bright. And so it is something for really inexpensive. If you're going to be using your smartphone, it's got a couple of levels too. But if you're going to be using your smartphone kind of close to your face, you can clip this onto it to give yourself at least just a little bit of front light and take some of the shadows out. And so this might be a good option if you don't want to spend $100 on some soft boxes because you're just not sure. This is a good little option to just clip onto your cell phone and see if it gives you enough light.
Yeah, and ideally, in the ideal world, you're able to use natural light, and that doesn't mean going outside when it's noon and it's really harsh. I know there's a pro blogger, she does makeup stuff on YouTube, And what she does, she shoots videos, I think it's like between 10 and 11 a.m. in her bedroom because the light coming through the windows is perfect. And then she has sheer curtains that go through and it diffuses it. So you don't have the strong light. Instead, you have the soft light that comes in. And lighting's one of those things that it takes some practice. Just realize the key importance to lighting is that it should be coming at your face, not from behind you. This whole window setup that I have here is not the ideal setup. I've had to compensate for that by bringing in more light so that I'm actually lit. And then we have other options. There's teleprompters. I really recommend clients that know their industry shoot from the hip. Some people don't feel comfortable doing that. You can actually get a teleprompter, which I was going to bring out. Well, here, I'll bring it out. It's kind of big and it's bulky. And if you don't know what a teleprompter does and how it works, this isn't going to make sense to you. However, I want to say I paid like $150 for this or so on Amazon. And essentially what it does is you can put a tablet in here with your text, what you want to say, and the camera shoots through a piece of glass so that you can actually read the text without looking over here to read the text and trying to look into the camera at the same time, which really doesn't work very well. That's another option. And then Sarah, like you were talking about, I don't have a backdrop. You've got a backdrop. Otherwise we'd be looking at closet doors, which for what we're doing is not necessarily the look that we're going after, but nobody would know it because you have a professional backdrop.
Right. And I'll move the camera so you can see. I've got a 3-bar up there. It's a 3-bar holder. I'm only using 2 of them at the moment. And so, if I move off to the side, there's some closets and a door, and that's not the audience, or that's not what I want to portray for my professionalism. And if I want to do stuff from the house versus driving all the way to the office, because for me, it's a half-hour drive to the office I share with Ryan. And so sometimes it's just easier to be here and nice and quiet and get my videos done. And so this setup was not that expensive. I don't even know what the bars were. It really was. I think I spent maybe with the backdrops and everything, maybe $100, $150. And I also have 2 backdrops. You don't need 2. You can just pick one. And again, I just bought it all on Amazon and had them ship it out. And I just want to make sure it was wide enough to pick up whatever I wanted to do. So mine happened to be 9 feet wide. There are also 5 feet wide ones. It just didn't fit what I knew. It was not going to be versatile enough. So think about that. If you're going to be doing other things, wider is better because you can always, shrink in if you need to. But this was actually one of the best investments I've made to make my videos easier. And it was helping me get it done more often because I'm more likely to do videos while I'm at my home office. Because if I'm at the office, Ryan and I are usually collaborating or I'm seeing clients. And so I'm just not as likely to get them done there as I am here. So this has really helped me be more efficient in getting my videos done.
Yeah, and when you talk about the professional look and feel of it also, what's great about YouTube and why YouTube and the whole internet, social media is huge, is that you can take somebody who just started today, a brand new business that they're just starting out in, they're still working out of their mom's basement as an example, and they can dress up and they can have, some decent equipment. A smartphone is decent equipment these days, some decent lighting, a backdrop, and now they're competing with, Fortune 500 companies all day long because nobody knows that they've invested $100 into themselves, for a nice backdrop. So that is just fabulous, fabulous, fabulous that we're able to do that these days, when in the past you weren't able to compete because it was pretty obvious that you were struggling because you didn't have the marketing funds. Technology has taken us to a place that is, pros and cons all over the place. But for the most part, for the small business owner, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's leveled the playing field enormously for small businesses because, as we've outlined here, you already have a smartphone. We know you do. Like everybody has one, especially as a business owner. There's no way you cannot have one. And so, even if you bought the basics of everything you would need, you're still at under $500 to have a complete setup, to have lights and a microphone and a camera. Well, you've got your smartphone for the camera, a tripod, a backdrop. So it's definitely affordable for a business owner to get this set up and have it look professional. You're obviously not going to look like a professional videographer came out and spliced together a really good sales video, but that's not what they want on YouTube anyway. They want authenticity. They want to get to know who you really are more than what you can sell them. So even with spending the under $500 to get everything set up, you'll still look authentic on the camera. And that's really what people are looking for on YouTube. They're not looking for the overproduced, super fancy sales video.
Yeah, and when we talk about being authentic, you do want to be careful, because I've seen some really authentic videos where there's, I don't know what's in the background. It's very cluttered. It just blah, blah, blah. Not my target audience. So understand who your target audience is. That's really important. And so when you actually go to shoot your video, now that you know what you're going to say, you know what equipment you're going to use, think about where you're going to shoot that video. Think about lighting. Do you actually have light? Is it forward-facing lighting, or is it lighting that's coming down and casting a shadow over your face? Think about sounds. Are you in a place, or can you be in a place where you can shoot in a quiet location where there isn't a lot of ambient noise going on? Also, I was just at a real estate office today. That hard surfaces, glass, very industrial type of look and feel, lots of echoes. And so we're going to have to deal with that in some way. So having a place where you're not creating echo is going to help the sound. And then think about your location. You know, do you have clutter behind you? Is it relevant to your target audience? One thing I always tell people when we're talking about relevancy is that if you're trying to attract the Macy's client, but you're presenting yourself as Walmart, those Macy's customers are not going to feel comfortable walking into Walmart. And the vice versa is true. If you're trying to attract Macy's Walmart clients and you're presenting yourself as Macy's, those Walmart clients are not going to feel comfortable. So it all needs to be relevant to your target audience and making sure that they feel comfortable, that they're getting information from a reputable source that they feel comfortable with.
Right. You know, for a realtor, if you're standing in front of a multi-million-dollar house with a, $150,000 car, but your audience is first-time home buyers just trying to barely break into the market, you're going to have a huge disconnect. So you really want to think that through, that, what you're presenting is going to resonate with the people that you want to attract. And part of the authenticity too is just being yourself. I mean, granted, unless you totally want to set yourself up to be the person who cusses every third word, you might want to curb that a little bit, but you want yourself to come through and how you really are, and have some fun with that. Ryan and I will joke around a little bit in here, but then we're down to business, because we are business owners that want to help business owners, and we want to be taken seriously. So we're not going to goof off the entire video, but we'll still have fun because we're good friends. We have fun. That's what happens. And so you want to have that come through so people can, it all goes down to the resonating, so that they can feel like, hey, I would like to hang out with them and have a glass of wine with them, or something, or go for a hike with them, whatever it is that is part of you, to have that come through. Because don't you want to do business with people you actually like? That's what we're in for.
Yeah, what's interesting, I love how you brought up the cussing, because I actually had a client who sold hard money to trucking agencies. And so part of, even though they're into banking and financing, they understood who their audience was. And so their message was uniquely different when talking with trucking companies than it was talking to medical companies. And that was another vertical that they worked in. So really understanding your audience and making sure they feel comfortable with you is really important. I'm going to give you a little pro tip here. And I just realized the slides kind of cut off, unfortunately, because of the browser window down here. But this is called the rule of thirds. I think one of the other problem that people have is when actually positioning the camera, how do you do it? And the idea is that if this is the video box here, and if I can get my little squiggly guy, if this is the video box here, if you broke this up into thirds, most people will position themselves in the center here, and that's not comfortable on the eyes. The eyes actually like to be in what we call the rule of thirds. And so that is this one line here is going kind of through my nose, and this top line is going through my eyes. Does this mean you exactly have to be this way? No, it doesn't have to be exactly this way, but this is an area where people feel pretty comfortable. If you notice where I'm at right now, none of my videos am I sitting directly in the center of the camera. It just doesn't feel quite as right versus being a little bit off center. Have I actually double checked that this is thirds? No, but I'm close enough, and that's all I care about. So that's a pro tip for you.
I make the mistake of being in the middle way too often. No matter how often Ryan tells me to move over,
just a little bit.
But
you know what? It adds variety, because when we bounce back and forth, you're more centered, I'm more, so it adds a little variety in the video. So it's okay. So that is it when it comes to video. 1, make sure you know what you're talking about. 2, make sure you have the right equipment that's relevant to your target audience. You do not need expensive camera. I have no desires in shooting in 4K, even though 4K has been big for the last couple of years. A lot of the big bloggers I follow on YouTube are going to 4K for a couple of different reasons. But I have no desire, because it does not make sense for my audience to go 4K. So moving forward, let's bring up the next slide. What you need to do in order to move forward is make sure you brainstorm ideas. We've got a free download that you can get. That's, again, it's going to give you 52 ideas in under an hour. That means you can actually shoot a video a week for a full year. That's a year's worth of content that you can come up with in less than an hour. Know what type of videos are you going to shoot. I know a lot of people are interested in viral, but viral typically is not relevant for most small business owners. Do you have the right equipment? Do you need to buy something? 2 places I highly recommend are B&H and Amazon.com. If you happen to live in California, as an example, I love B&H because they typically are the same price, free shipping, but there's no sales tax, where Amazon now charges sales tax. Know where you're going to shoot your video. Test it out, check it out, make sure it works. Be sure to follow us on YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, and we're going to keep you up to date with what's going on a regular basis. Next week, we're going to continue the whole video thing, and we're going to talk more about actually shooting the first video. So if you need to buy equipment, go out and buy equipment. Next week, we're going to talk more about actually how do you shoot that first video. Going to give you some pro tips that are going to make things a lot easier as far as post-production. That is, how to edit the video, or maybe you're not the one who's interested in editing the video. So where do you go for editing? We'll help you out with all of that next week.
Yeah, you'll definitely want to make sure you've got the equipment on hand, because you're going to be so excited to go get started that you'll be happy to, as soon as we give you the pro tips, you're going to want to be able to just jump right into it. So make sure you get at least the bare basics of the equipment before our show next week.
Yep, definitely. Also, if you've already shot a video, or you're going to shoot a video and you would love feedback, leave a comment below. We are more than happy to check it out for you and provide some positive and yet authentic feedback, if you will, on the videos, because I think it's really important. Most people are very self-critical, and what you may think is not a very good job can be exceptional to a lot of people. So with that, Sarah, that is the end of today's show. Again, next week, we're going to be talking more about video, how to shoot your very first video. And then the following week, we're going to talk about promotion. How do you properly upload it on YouTube? How can you share it? Some social media tips. We're going to give you a lot of great information. So we look forward to seeing you next week and the weeks to follow. And Sarah, this is where I pop up the slide. Oh, we don't have the slide, so I'm just going to cancel the show. That's it. We're done. I'm going to stop
All right.
broadcasting.
See you all next
See you
week.
later, everybody.